live video about my death experience / spiritual awakening process. I've been stressed about this all weekend, to be honest. It's been a long journey for me, it feels like. So, what I'm sharing is something I went through about 4 years ago. And why I'm sharing it is because I feel like I could have used this information a few times in my life when I was suffering. So I'm gonna do the best I can. I've had notes I've been writing for like 4 years about what I went through. So I'm just trying to like pick out the best thing to talk about that will, I want to be as brief as possible this first video because I'm nervous. So, all right, so I'm gonna start in 2016. It was the beginning of the year, pretty early on. I was basically living my life in a way of like going towards a brick wall at like 1,000 miles an hour and not having any brakes and not giving a shit about having any brakes. Like, I just didn't care. But I was also like at the same time numb, totally numb and suffering. And by the way, I apologize if my dog barks in the background. He's being. So I'm living my life in this way where it's like I'm not even taking into consideration like the value of life. I'm just like, I'm angry at life. I don't understand it. To me, it's exhausting. I'm tired. I'm suffering. And so I'm literally like calling forth this answer, not even knowing it at the time. But I did drop dead on my living room floor in 2016. And from my experience at the time, I dropped and I woke up in the hospital and by myself in a room alone. And I remembered being like, what the fuck? Like, this again, like this cycle of suffering I'm in, this is ridiculous. Like, I've had so many close calls with death before this. This is like nothing. Like, I've had so many close calls. It's not even funny. Like, I should not be here, kind of, So this time was bad. It was bad. And I remember waking up and being like, I used to wake up and like search for something outside of me to make me feel better. Like, where's this person? This person can make me feel better. Or oh my God, I'll open a bottle of wine and I'll feel better. But for this time when I woke up, like something in me had shifted that I hadn't caught up with yet physically. Like, I woke up in that hospital bed alone and I knew there was something more. Like, I knew at that moment there was something more to life. Like, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just like this like selfish, egotistical existence I had been living. It was more than that. So I remember feeling like it didn't matter what was outside of me anymore. Like, nothing outside of me mattered anymore at that point. It was all in me. Like, everything inside of me is what mattered. Like, where I took this from this point, like, that's what mattered. Like, no one outside of me was going to save me anymore. No one had done a good job of it yet because it wasn't their job. Like, it's not anybody's job to save me. So I had like a moment in that, which was so crazy because like the day before that I was a freaking mess and like didn't want to live and didn't even understand life and had no comprehension of like why we're here, and I had, I was so angry. And so to have this moment for me, like, and I know it's so personal for everybody, so like this might not seem as big to anybody else, but like for me, this was like a big deal for me to finally look inside myself to find the answers. So, making a long story short, I left the hospital eventually and went home, and for some reason I had a calling to like delete my Facebook. I was off Facebook for like 3 or 4 months. I didn't want to have anything to do. I didn't want to have to answer to anybody outside. I just kind of wanted to like answer to myself only. So I sat outside a lot and I listened to music. I started painting, which was weird. Like, I always tried to be artistic, but I was not that good. So I started doing like painting and I ended up being like pretty good, and like I did like intuitive drawing. I was doing like meditation for the first time, really. I was taking these crazy pictures. I would like get under the sun or like get under these crazy lights, and I would take these crazy pictures that would show my aura. Like I was having like this whole experience after coming out of the hospital of like getting to know myself and finding my own importance and like my own divinity and my own, you know, because something in me changed. Like I was looking for more now, and I never ever looked for more. I always was like just so wrapped up in what was right in front of my face, and just if it wasn't good enough, then I wasn't happy. But now I was digging deeper, and one time during meditation, I had a huge download and a remembrance of what had actually taken place during my death experience, not physically. Like physically I had gone and I'd woken up in the hospital and had a shift, but something actually really happened consciously that I wasn't aware of, that I had remembered during, you know, deep, you know, like, you know, going deep inside myself and like remembering stuff and doing meditation, doing the inner work and digging deep. So I remembered what happened. And so like I'm gonna say, like, everybody's so personal, everybody's death experience is so personal. So for me, this is what happened, but for you it might not sound that great. For you, you know, everybody's design, they all have their own experiences, so it's very personal. So my experience, I was outside my house under a street lamp, which was emitting this light, which was like outrageous. It was just, I can't explain to you real light. Real light is so different than light. Like it was a blanket of light over me. It was just like encompassing me and just like, oh, and I just remember being like, just like taken aback by it and just so astounded by the beauty of this light. And time stopped, which was a big deal for me because in my life, time was like my enemy. I was always like, you have to be here now and you have to go here now. And time was like, I was always fighting time. So when time stopped, that was like the coolest thing ever. Because it was just like, Monday's never coming again. Like the bills aren't coming anymore. Like everything just froze. It stopped. And it was like, as if I had gotten into the driver's seat and everything just like froze for me to like start making the future decisions. Like everything stopped. And everything started to regenerate. Like there was no more like, I feel like on Earth it's like degeneration. Like everything kind of is like dying from time. And with this, it was like time stopped, so everything started to like get new life in it. Like it started to regenerate and get more beautiful. And sorry, pilot. It started to get more beautiful and just become more. Everything was becoming. Everything was not disintegrating. It was becoming. It was like, it just took my breath away. It was honestly, like, the word for it is heavenly. It was just amazing. And then I remember laughing at myself for being so serious in my life, for being so anxious, for being so worrisome, for taking everything so seriously and you know, being like this. And I was just kind of like, it was like a joke. It was like my anxiety turned into laughter. It was just, everything was so funny. Like, Nicole, you chose to come here. This was your decision, and you made it so hell. Like, you made it hell for yourself when you didn't have to. It was all in your, you know, it was all my choice. So I remember having that moment of like, it was like a releasing of you know, resistance, and I was laughing, and I was kind of understanding everything and seeing everything. Like I was shifting like into like a farther back seat where I could, like, I wasn't so up close in my life. I was like further back where I got perspective of everything. And that was pretty fucking awesome. But then what comes with perspective is you know, honesty with yourself. And when I got to the point where I was connecting with those on Earth, because when you pass, you become like multidimensional. So you're with everybody all at once, dead or alive. You're everywhere all at once. You're of everything. Everything is one. There's no separation. So I was literally connected with everybody non-physical and everybody physical. And the people that were physical didn't know it at the time that I was with them, but I knew it. And I knew it was okay they didn't know it, because they would know it. Like, they would eventually, we would always come back to each other. So, like, although they might be suffering from my loss, like, I was with them, and that was okay. Like, because it was always going to be okay. Everything was going to be okay. So I saw that. But I did see also that my daughter's life path, like her journey would be a little more difficult without me. And I kind of got to see that perspective. Like, she was going to be a little bitter, she was going to be angry, and have that kind of, like, she would overcome it eventually. Obviously, we all are evolving. But it would be like, I couldn't stand the fact that it would be, like, her life would be more full of resistance because of her mother, you know, passing. So I got to see all this, and, you know, I chose to come back. I felt like it was the best decision. It would have, you know, it created the better, you know, a bigger, happier change than if I had gone. So I got the opportunity to choose to come back. But I remember being in this light, and, like, when I started to realize that I was leaving Rose, I started putting out, like, panic and, like, fear and anxiety, and, like, something, like, you ever be in, like, a really great dream and it starts to turn into a nightmare? It was kind of like that. Like, I was in heaven. But then when I started to think about everything, like my life, I started to, like, resist and, like, fight it, because I had unfinished business. Like, this wasn't it, you know? So I had to fight that, and I was putting out this negative energy and this freaking out, and this light was absorbing it and, like, changing it. It was transmuting it into, like, clarity and knowledge and knowing and eternalness, and it was, like, putting it back into me. Like, it's okay, this is your life, this is your decision, like, this is your experience, this is your choice. Like, everything is going to be okay, everything will always be okay. Like, this is not it. This is like the waiting room to real life. Like, this is just like where you come to prefer, and you come to desire, and you come to know what you want as an individual, because we're all connected. But this is where you come to become one as an individual. And then, you know, so it was like a big eye-opening experience, and it was like my choice. It wasn't, no one was doing anything to me, no one was judging me or putting me anywhere. It was about my growth, and, like, where am I going from here? Because there's only more. Nothing stops when you die. Like, you get more opportunity, like, more doors open. You even get the choice to come back, like I did. And when I did come back, there were times, like, I kept hearing 3 years, and I'll be at, like, my circle point in 3 years, and I hated that, because, like, at the time I had been shown everything. I'd been shown, like, eternal life and unconditional love, and I didn't understand 3 years. I'm like, why would I have to wait 3 years? But I'm at the 4-year mark now, and I'm still learning. Like, I still don't know everything. I'm still, you know, learning shit every day, and having my moments of totally disconnecting from source, and then coming back again. And it's like, I still struggle. And I mean, I chose to share this story because ever since this happened to me 4 years ago, I've felt alien in this world. I feel like I know the secret, and everybody else is kind of existing without that. So I feel like it's like, I'm not special, okay? So I just went through this. Everybody has access to this knowing, and I'm sure a lot of you do. It's just, I feel like there's some people out there maybe that are still lost like I was, that need to hear that there is more to this, and that if you do lose your life, like, there is more life. There's no ending. You're not gonna perish and disappear. It's not like that. There's more to this, and I want to share that because there was many times in my life where I was circling the drain, and I needed someone to tell me that there was more to this life than this. That we are more. We are eternal. We are, you know, source energy. We're connected to God. All of us. We're so important, and I just wanted to share that. I don't know if I got my point across. I'm doing my best, but I'm sure I'll do more videos once I'm more comfortable. But that was my experience, like, you know, having a complete experience of time stopping and more life coming into my experience, and having the free will to choose if I was going to continue this life experience or if I was going to continue into the peace. The peace is overwhelming. When you pass, the peace is overwhelming. I understand why people run into the peace. I almost did too. But, you know, it's all free will. It's all individual, personal choices. We all go because we have, you know, a choice to go, or we stay because we have the choice to stay. And nothing is being done to us. Nothing is, you know, we're not being condemned in any way. This is just our growing experience. So I hope this helped. And that's it.